This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. The rush of racing? Nothing beats it. But Chumba Casino comes close. Chumba's got fast spins, fun games, daily bonuses, and all the action you can handle. Now that's a ride. Ready to hit the throttle? Get in the driver's seat and head to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You could stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, or you could spice things up and try some unexpected combinations like dipping chicken wonton tacos in their honey Dijon mustard. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. That's eating good in the neighborhood. This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Football is back. That means it's tailgate time. And this season, the only meat I'm going to grill is Dietz and Watson. I'm loving the Black Angus Dietz dogs. They're flavor-packed, and you can tell they are made with the highest quality ingredients. Sundays just got a whole lot better. Visit DietzandWatson.com/therightway to learn more about the Dietz difference.
Step into the magic. The Minnesota Renaissance Festival runs weekends right now through September 28th. Get your tickets now at renaissancefest.com. You can also enter for your shot to win a pair of tickets on our contest page, KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Overnight and into the morning, major developments in the Charlie Kirk assassination. A 22-year-old Utah man named Tyler Robinson was apprehended, being held in the Utah County Jail on suspicion, I think now officially charged with, among other things, aggravated murder and a number of other felonies as well. The announcement, this was after about a 30-hour manhunt for the gunman who shot and killed Charlie Kirk before a crowd of thousands. And it ended about 250 miles away. Manhunt, not surprisingly, intense, a multi-agency event. And, of course, the story started at Utah Valley University in Orem, where Charlie Kirk was murdered. There were a couple of, I think, false alarm announcements about suspects in custody. Eventually, those 2 individuals were released, but the story ends in Washington County, Utah. And there are a number of nuggets I want to touch on in this segment, if possible, maybe segment and a half, that I did want to mention. Let me see if I can find the CBS report that caught my eye. There were some interesting details there, for sure. In fact, I thought I saved it, but I didn't. I will mention, as I look for that it appears the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, he's also worthy of some time a little later, said in a news conference that a relative of the suspect had contacted a family friend after the shooting. That friend then contacted the sheriff's office and told officers that the suspect had confessed or suggested that he had committed the killing. And it appears the father got involved and confronted his son. His son also then admits to what he did. And at that point, I believe a religious leader was contacted that they knew and that became the individual who actually then contacted authorities and led to the arrest of the person the authorities believe is responsible for the murder. As I mentioned, Robinson is 22 years old. There is, I think, some interesting detail coming out regarding a roommate. The suspect apparently had criticized Charlie Kirk not long before the shooting. That was, again, according to the governor. And that he had sent messages about needing to, quote, retrieve a rifle from a drop point, end quote. You've probably heard about the bullet engravings, messages inscribed on unfired cartridges alongside a rifle in the woods near campus. The messages suggested familiarity with anti-fascist symbolism and the irreverent slang of internet memes and role-play communities. One of the casings had the words Bella Ciao, an apparent reference to an Italian song adopted by the anti-fascist resistance during World War II. That's according to a New York Times report. In this case, I think it was the president who announced the arrest. He was on Fox and Friends early this morning, said he had learned about it moments before he was on the air. Then eventually there were a couple false starts for a news conference, but eventually there was a news conference as well. In any case, there's going to be obviously a lot more to learn, but the bottom line is we have the suspect, the alleged shooter, has indeed been located. And, we talked about this, I guess, pretty much every day, that Gerald Posner and I were talking about, well, how long might this go on? And it ended up going on a little longer than I thought it would. And yet it almost seemed inevitable. I always, in a situation like this, wonder if what you're going to find is the body of the shooter, because we've had those occasions happen as well. And I think, in fact, one of the reports indicate that the father had said, you should turn yourself in. And he'd said, I'd rather commit suicide, at which point I think then that's when they got clergy involved to try to help move this thing forward. So that's where we're on. That's where we are with the story. I mentioned the governor, Governor Cox, out of Utah, and he got. It's interesting because there was a reaction to the law enforcement people said we got too much of the governor pontificating and not enough opportunity for the law enforcement people who are spearheading this thing to answer significant questions that still need to be asked and answered. And I kind of get that. But I also think, to a certain extent, what the governor said was important enough that it needed to be part of the conversation without waiting any longer. The quote there were several quotes from the governor that I thought were salient, but one in particular, that's the problem with political violence. It metastasizes. Because we can always point the finger at the other side, and at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse. I would best capture what the governor said as attempting to not get into your side's worse than my side's, worse than their side, etc. He was trying, I think, to be more philosophical and all-encompassing. Bernie Sanders. Political violence is political cowardice. It means that you cannot convince people of the correctness of your ideas, and you have to impose them by force. Bernie Sanders. Not exactly a disciple of the Charlie Kirk philosophy in any way, shape, or form, but it did strike me that in a, pretty convicted lefty, in the case of Bernie Sanders, and a pretty convicted righty in the case of Governor Cox, you heard more statesmanship from both of them than we have heard and that we're going to hear from the president. For the president, it's going to be picking sides. He can't help it. That's his nature, and it's the exact, at this time, wrong message. You can find the right message. They both offered it. And so part of the decision we make is, what we emphasize and what we don't. But I thought both of them, who are very different politically, maybe diametrically opposed, both offered up the kind of leadership that you're looking for at a time like this. It's only words, and words in the end don't matter, but I thought those were important things that were being said. Let's pause, and we'll come back. Maybe stay with this story a little longer. Prepare for Ben Goessling, 4:30. Lavelle will join at 5:30 as well.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Bailey Zimmerman just announced his biggest tour yet, the 2026 Different Nights Same Rodeo Tour, hitting over 30 cities across the U.S. and Canada. Following his sold-out 2025 run, Bailey is bringing his electrifying live show to even bigger stages in 2026, with stops in major cities like Nashville, Boston, Atlanta, Toronto, and more. His new album, Different Nights Same Rodeo, is out now, featuring the #1 hit Backup Plan with Luke Combs, plus fan favorites like Lost with the Kid Laroi, Holy Smokes, and Holding On. The sophomore album showcases Bailey's signature blend of rock-powered country and heartfelt storytelling, making it a must-listen for fans old and new. Fans can elevate their night with VIP packages that include premium seats, exclusive merch, and access to Bailey's pre-show soundcheck party. With new music, massive energy, and a can't-miss tour on the horizon, now's the time to get your tickets. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com.
Life moves fast. A new home, a new baby, a new chapter. But without an estate plan, your future's still vulnerable. With Trust and Will, you can name guardians, start a trust, create healthcare directives, and more. All online in about an hour. It's attorney-designed, state-specific, and built to protect what you love. Plans start at just $199, and every plan is safe, secure, and kept completely private. From families with young kids to adults caring for aging parents, Trust and Will makes it simple to take control, without a law office, paperwork stress, or court delays. Go to trustandwill.com and use code RADIO to save 20%. Start your plan today. Don't wait for life to force your hand. Estate planning is one of the smartest, most loving things you can do. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. See website for details.
Trust and Will.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Football is back. That means it's tailgate time. And this season, the only meat going on the grill is Dietz and Watson. Some of my favorites are the Black Angus Dietz dogs, the Italian-style chicken sausage, and the Asiago spinach chicken sausage, just to name a few. Oh, and I love the jalapeno mustard. It's flavor-packed, and you could just tell Dietz and Watson uses the highest quality meats in every bite. Dietz and Watson was born in Philly in 1939, and they've been doing it the right way ever since. Visit DietzandWatson.com/the right way to learn more about the Dietz difference.
Join Meat Sauce and KFAN this Sunday at the Lowe's Earn Your Sunday Tour outside U.S. Bank Stadium, right across from the Legacy Ship from 2 to 4 p.m. You can enjoy NFL fan experiences, photo ops, and play Madden 26. You could even win a trip to the big game in Santa Clara. Details now, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Here's the CBS News report that has a little more detail that I think is worthy of discussion regarding today's developments, the arrest of Tyler Robinson, now being held in the Utah County Jail on suspicion of aggravated murder in the assassination, fairly clearly targeted, of Charlie Kirk. The father of the 22-year-old charged in the killing saw the photos released by authorities, confronted his son. Law enforcement sources told CBS News Robinson admitted to his father that he was the person in the photos. Father urged him to turn himself in. This is what I was alluding to earlier. But the son said he'd rather commit suicide, the sources said. Father then called a pastor who knows the son. The pastor called the U.S. Marshals and other law enforcement agencies. Robinson being held, as we said, on aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, and felony discharge of a firearm. CBS is reporting he is a third-year student in the electrical apprenticeship program at Dixie Technical College. He had briefly attended Utah State University. The father owns a business installing kitchen countertops and cabinets. His mother is a licensed social worker. The Robinsons are Mormon and active in the church. Tyler, CBS News reports, is the oldest of all three. Other item I wanted to get to, this is about the last I'm going to say about this. I'm trying to learn in this job, even after all the time I've been doing it. My new credo when it comes to blocking on X is real simple. And it was inspired by something that I saw earlier today in response to a comment I had made a couple days ago about individuals not even bothering to listen to what we actually said. For example, the day the story broke, the tragedy broke. And it's really this simple. Obviously, you can disagree with me 10%. You can disagree with me 50%. You can disagree with me 100%. That's all fair game. That's all part of the business. But if you utterly and completely misrepresent what I have said on a given issue, I'm done. We have no common ground. We have no conversation because those individuals seriously don't want to have a serious conversation. They don't. And the example was that I was another one of those lefties who believed in open borders and letting people out of prison or out of jail almost as quickly as they had been put in. Now, in his world, again, I've used this term before, I have to be the boogeyman. So if I'm going to be the boogeyman, he has to either believe or assume that I take positions that allows him to stereotype me and to utterly and completely distort what the record is. And he may deep down know he's doing it. He may deep down say, well, I thought it was him. Maybe it was somebody else I heard. They're all the same. Anybody who has spent more than 5 minutes listening to this show, going back to the Biden administration, will know that it is fact, not open to interpretation, but fact, that almost from the second year of his run, I was criticizing border policy, saying it was untenable, it was not sustainable. In fact, I was quoting, in some cases, officials from the Obama administration saying just the same. I have not even been close to being an open border guy. And anybody who's listened to this show more than 15 minutes knows that I have probably spent as much time criticizing Mary Moriarty when it comes to the issue of justice and whether individuals who commit significant crimes are being held accountable as much as any topic we've had on this show. But for that guy who represents that line of thinking, it obviously doesn't matter. So there's no point in reasoning with someone like that. Disagree, hammer, fire away, call me DFL Dan, call me a hardcore commie. You can do all of those things. But when you just lie because it's convenient, because you need and want to believe this about someone, and the record indicates that it's not even close. I mean, it's not even within the same ballpark, not even the same solar system on a number of issues, then I'm done. Then you'll immediately get blocked, and because there's no conversation that we can have. As I said, it's for too many people. This is just a game where they don't even really bother to listen, or they just want to make assumptions, or they heard me say one thing one time and just have decided on that basis that they know everything that I've said about all of these subjects. So that's the game I'm done playing with. I'm not going to mess with that game any longer because it's stupid. We all talk about we got to reach across the aisle, we got to understand each other, but those are individuals who don't want to be understood, and they don't want to have a conversation. I mean, my mouth was left open. I almost thought it was satire. Ask anybody, ask people on the left whether I've been friendly to Mary Moriarty when it comes to justice issues. The guy I've been friendly to is Andy Luger. Why? Because when it comes to crime, call me a conservative. I am not a hardcore lefty in any way, shape, or form, have not been on issues of crime in this community. And Luger is the guy I've championed as, in this case, a Democrat who I think gets it. That disorder serves and chaos serve nobody. There is no equity in chaos. Zero. And so hopefully it's the last time I bring it up. But I mean, come on, boys and girls. This isn't difficult. If you actually bothered to listen to the show, no one who actually listens will be surprised with the things I'm saying. I've got texts from them, either hammering me for ripping Moriarty to the degree I have or praising me for doing it. And on the border, like I said, we talked about the border long before Trump was up for re-election. The border was a mess. The Democrats asked for everything they got on that issue, and it was only when they realized it was politically a political weakness that they started paying attention to it. And yeah, did Trump in effect subvert any chance to get a deal done when he said, don't do a deal with them because I want this issue? Of course. But that doesn't leave the Democrats out, and it doesn't change the record. That was me constantly talking about, well, these numbers are stupid. Even if you're pro-immigration, they make no sense. There's no control at all going on at the border. So again, hammer me, blister me, bludgeon me, whatever you want to say, go ahead and do it. But just don't lie about what I have and haven't said on a number of issues. Some lefty, some righty, whatever you want to call me. Back with Ben Goessling.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. The rush of racing? Nothing beats it. But Chumba Casino comes close. Chumba's got fast spins, fun games, daily bonuses, and all the action you can handle. Now that's a ride. Ready to hit the throttle? Get in the driver's seat and head to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Bailey Zimmerman just announced his biggest tour yet, the 2026 Different Night Same Rodeo Tour, hitting over 30 cities across the U.S. and Canada. Following his sold-out 2025 run, Bailey is bringing his electrifying live show to even bigger stages in 2026, with stops in major cities like Nashville, Boston, Atlanta, Toronto, and more. His new album, Different Night Same Rodeo, is out now, featuring the #1 hit Backup Plan with Luke Combs, plus fan favorites like Lost with the Kid Laroi, Holy Smokes, and Holding On. The sophomore album showcases Bailey's signature blend of rock-powered country and heartfelt storytelling, making it a must-listen for fans old and new. Fans can elevate their night with VIP packages that include premium seats, exclusive merch, and access to Bailey's pre-show soundcheck party. With new music, massive energy, and a can't-miss tour on the horizon, now's the time to get your tickets. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com.
Life moves fast. A new home, a new baby, a new chapter. But without an estate plan, your future's still vulnerable. With Trust and Will, you can name guardians, start a trust, create healthcare directives, and more. All online in about an hour. It's attorney-designed, state-specific, and built to protect what you love. Plans start at just $199, and every plan is safe, secure, and kept completely private. From families with young kids to adults caring for aging parents, Trust and Will makes it simple to take control. Without a law office, paperwork stress, or court delays. Go to trustandwill.com and use code RADIO to save 20%. Start your plan today. Don't wait for life to force your hand. Estate planning is one of the smartest, most loving things you can do. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. See website for details.
Trust and Will.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Football is back. That means it's tailgate time. And this season, the only meat going on the grill is Dietz and Watson. Some of my favorites are the Black Angus Dietz dogs, the Italian-style chicken sausage, and the Asiago spinach chicken sausage, just to name a few. Oh, and I love the jalapeno mustard. It's flavor-packed, and you could just tell Dietz and Watson uses the highest quality meats in every bite. Dietz and Watson was born in Philly in 1939, and they've been doing it the right way ever since. Visit DietzandWatson.com/the right way to learn more about the Dietz difference.
That's next.
Purple Fridays are back right here on the Fan, and we've got your tickets to Sunday night's home opener. Let's go caller number 9 for J.J. McCarthy. Caller number 9 right now wins a pair of tickets to see the Vikings take on the Falcons Sunday night. 1-800-320-5326. Call now, 1-800-320-5326. Happy Purple Friday.
Quick Enough Said reminder, that's the TV show that I do with Guardsy and Lori Fisher. Because of all kinds of, I think, football, basketball, baseball, I don't even know what's on tonight on Fox 9. We're only on TV tonight at 11:35 p.m. So, adjust your DVR. Also, though, they tell me it will be on the Fox Local app, which, like the iHeart app, is free, at 7:30. So that's another way to watch it. But we're not on regular times at all tonight. We are on, well past my bedtime at 11:35 p.m. tonight. Football is in the air. It's actually the Friday Football Beast edition of this program, and Ben Goessling joins us every Friday at just about this time to discuss the Friday Football Beast conversation. He joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. Mr. Goessling, can we start with the best, most up-to-date injury analysis for the Vikings? Because it sounds like the injuries on the defensive side of the ball might be piling up a little bit. What do we know?
Yeah, they certainly are. I mean, they will be without Jeff Okudah on Sunday because of the concussion. They'll be without Andrew Van Ginkel on Sunday for the same reason. Kevin O'Connell said that there's been improvement from both. Jeff Okudah practiced a little bit today in a no-contact jersey, so it seems like he's a little further along than Andrew Van Ginkel is, but they're still not ready to put either of those guys out there. Harrison Smith practiced every day this week in a limited capacity. He's questionable. I would think he probably has the best chance to go of the group. And then Austin Keys, their linebacker, popped up today with a groin injury. He still practiced, but he's questionable for the game. And then you've got a lot of guys that are at least minorly banged up, from Isaiah Rodgers to Elijah Williams. So there are quite a few of them for the Vikings on that side of the ball. And then, of course, on the other side of the ball, Christian Darrisaw will again not play with that knee injury as they continue to kind of take their time bringing him back from the ACL from last October. So, yeah, the injury report is awfully long for week 2 of the season, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Who replaces Gink?
Well, it'll be Dallas Turner.
Yep.
This will be the first time, I think, that he will actually have started or at least have played more than, I think, 49% of the snaps is the most he's been in a game for at this point. So I would expect that probably changes on Sunday. They're probably and he'll start, and I would think they'll use him a lot how they use Van Ginkel, where he's effectively an every down player or pretty close to it. I think you'll see them kind of mix and match, and when they go into those third edge rusher situations, you have to kind of add some guys to that group there. But I think he probably plays the Van Ginkel spot and is on the field for most of the time. And they've used him more, and I think Brian Flores even said they wanted to get him in there more last week than they did. He looked at the snap counts afterwards and said, "Yeah, I would have liked to have him out there more than we had him." But he will get his chance on Sunday. It's not a bad matchup. The crowd should be on their side and maybe make things a little harder for the Falcons' offensive line. So it's a good first opportunity for him, but they like having Andrew Van Ginkel in that lineup. So the fact that they're down one there, and then certainly the injuries in the secondary, I think it's a bigger injury load than they would have liked this early.
Yeah, I think it makes it a tricky game. I really do. And we'll get into more detail about the game itself in a minute. Does the deliberate nature of the approach with Darrisaw surprise you at all? Because I think I had the feeling we had been led to believe that we were on track, pretty much on track for, by the start of the regular season, there's a good chance you're going to see Christian Darrisaw. Do you agree, or did I miss something back in training camp or back earlier?
No, I agree with that, and that's kind of what I went into the season thinking as well. And they put him out there Monday night to warm up, and he had said, I think he told Andrew Kramer after the game that he went out and did that knowing who was not going to play. They had to list him as questionable. Kevin O'Connell explained this today, that you have to have him as questionable to even have him warm up. If a guy is out, you can't do it. So part of the reason they listed him as questionable was just to give him the opportunity to go out on the field for warm-ups. But the fact that he was full on Wednesday and limited Thursday, Friday, still, I think they're still kind of trying to feel things out. I caught up with him in the locker room briefly today, and he said it's still a day at a time. He said there's still room for improvement in my knee and some things on the field, which I thought was interesting to hear. He's still got a fairly large brace on the knee, so it's been a little more deliberate than I expected it was going to be, and kind of a long conversation as he came off the field with Kevin O'Connell today before he came to talk to us. And I think it's still a little more touch and go than I expected. And obviously, if they felt like he was going to be out for more than the 4 games, they put him on injured reserve. The fact that they haven't done that tells you that they're still projecting something a little less than that. But yeah, it has been a little different than what I was thinking going into the season, that's for sure.
So you guys have all talked about it, written about it to varying degrees. Obviously, that this is the rematch of the national championship game. These two quarterbacks met that game. Michigan was clearly a superior team. I think that had as much to do with it as the quarterback matchup itself between Penix with Washington and J.J. McCarthy with Michigan. But I do want to go back to that draft, because my recollection was that within the building, there might have been some people who actually, that liked them both. I think that was fairly clear, but might have actually favored Penix if given the choice. And in this case, of course, as we now know, the Vikings were not given that choice because Atlanta shocked everybody by taking Penix, I think, number 8. What do you remember about the intel back before that draft?
Yeah, I mean, I think they did like them both, and I would not be surprised if there were people in the building that did feel that way. I don't know that it was unanimous from everybody. The sense I had at the time was that McCarthy was going to be the pick, even if it was not Drake May. I mean, Drake May was the guy that I think they had at the top of the board. In fact, they tried to trade up to get him and couldn't do it because the Patriots didn't want to make the move. My gut would be that it would still be McCarthy if both of those guys are sitting on the board. Like you said, the Falcons kind of stunned everybody and made it so that the Vikings didn't have the option because they take him at number 8. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because he had a pretty impressive debut last week. The Falcons lose the game, but he looked effective. He looked a little more willing to move. He's never been a guy that is running quite as much as some quarterbacks, and certainly not after a couple of ACL repairs in college, but I think was more mobile, was more active as a runner. I think 21 yards last week, which is actually a career high. It's still a pretty modest number, but the Vikings talked about this week, that you do have to account for that part of his game a little bit more. And the downfield arm has never been in question with him. I think that was a lot of what he did so well in college.
No question.
And that's going to be a big part of the game for them as well. So, yeah, how all this plays out, I mean, ultimately McCarthy was the guy that they were in position to take, and he's the guy that hitched their wagons to. But, yeah, this type of a matchup, I mean, there's a reason this game's on national TV. I think these matchups early in the year when these teams are interesting and these young quarterbacks are still kind of top of mind is a good storyline for national TV. It's, I think, a big part of the reason this game is on Sunday night where it is. It's not necessarily because the Falcons are a contender every year. It's because this matchup, the teams are intriguing, and there's an obvious storyline between Penix and McCarthy, and we'll get to see how that plays out on Sunday night.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning sponsors our weekly segments with Ben Goessling, who I think also joins the Paul Allen Project as well. Lots more to get to regarding this matchup itself. I think I saw your pick. The spread's 3.5. I think, did you pick the Vikings by 2? Is that what I saw?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think it is, my guess is it's going to be I don't know that I really trust Atlanta all that much yet, to be sure, but I factor in the injuries, some of their offensive weapons. I do think this feels going in as if it should be a pretty close game.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Falcons, the thing for me with them is the pass rush is not yet formidable enough that I think the Vikings will have a ton to worry about there. I mean, there'll probably be some moments of it, but it's not a team that I sit there and say, boy, not having Christian Darrisaw, there's no way to have an answer for this. I think they still will be able to survive and keep J.J. McCarthy upright, as they really did a pretty good job of last week. But there are enough weapons, whether it's Robinson, whether it's Drake London. Kyle Pitts has been probably not what the Falcons had hoped he would be, but a tight end over the middle with a defense that's missing some pieces over the middle. When you throw Blake Cashman in there too, they are going to have some challenges as they try to defend the middle of the field, I would expect. So I think this one is close. I think it's a game where the Vikings will have a lot to contend with whether Robinson or Pitts, and I think even London to an extent, can test them in some ways that become a bigger issue when you factor in the injuries. So I think it's tight. I think the home crowd helps the Vikings pull this one out and makes it a little tougher for Penix and company, but there are enough weapons for Atlanta that I don't think this one is something they just breeze through.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Somebody has asked, I think it's Brandon, who we've already heard from earlier from New Mexico, who plays the nickel this week? Do we know?
Well, it'll be a couple of different ways to answer that question. Dwight McLeathern will play more, I think, at corner. You'll see probably, if Harrison Smith is back on the field, you'll see, I think, a lot more of the big nickel stuff where it's three safeties between him, Theo Jackson, Josh Metellus, kind of going back to that role that he's played a lot. I mean, Jay Ward had some more playing time last week as well, but I think Dwight McLeathern among the corners will be the guy that gets the first look, and I think the hope would be you can move Byron Murphy into the nickel on passing downs and play McLeathern and Isaiah Rodgers outside. That's how I would expect they'd go about it, but they'll probably have a couple of elevations from the practice squad before Sunday as well. I think some of the defensive backs, Khalif Halassi and a couple others on the practice squad could get called up for this game because it's going to be probably all hands on deck. The cornerback depth has been a question. We've talked about it a fair amount already, but you have a couple of guys missing. You get stressed in that area pretty quickly.
So there is no question that McCarthy is playing in this game, correct? I got a couple of Carson Wentz terrorists who I think are hoping that this might be, his big coming out party here in Minnesota. And by the way, it could end up happening. Injuries happen, whatever. But as far as we know, the new Papa will be starting Sunday night, correct?
Yes. The new Papa will, in fact, be there on Sunday night. Just going back to the corners, Fabian Moreau would be the other guy that I would keep an eye on, the veteran that they brought back on the practice squad this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he's elevated. But as far as McCarthy goes, yes, he's back. He was at practice today, was in the locker room. It sounded like everything went fine with delivery. Mom and baby are doing well, and we have the name online now. I think they posted an Instagram thing this afternoon with Rome Micah McCarthy, I believe is the name of the little boy. So, he got back and was able to get some things done today. So, there's no question he's going to play. I don't know how much sleep he's going to be working off of. I chatted with him in the locker room briefly today. It sounded like he, as any new dad has gone through, you're not sleeping a ton right away. It's kind of just adrenaline and caffeine probably, but he will be out there Sunday night. There's no question he's going to start.
Did you say the middle name was Micah?
Correct.
Huh. Is he a big Micah Parsons fan or is his fiance? I mean, that's kind of interesting, the timing on that.
Yeah, it is. And then Roma Dunze, too. So he's got two of the three
That's right.
other NFC North teams covered. I told him this in the locker room. I said, if you get a chance when you're sitting up with the baby, there was a lot of funny stuff on social media this week.
Yes.
When he has the baby, Ryan Day is getting a new brother. Caleb Williams is getting a new brother because he's, both of their daddies is obviously the implication there. So
yes.
There was some pretty good stuff, but he's got a couple of NFC North angles covered with that name. I don't know if he's trying to send a message with that or if he just liked the name, but there's some fun we can have with that. As he said today when I was chatting with him in the locker room, social media remains undefeated.
Lori,
at least in the funny sense, yes. I don't know if I'd agree with that all the time. But
not all the time. Kind of this one you can
yes.
You could chuckle on this a little bit. You're exactly right. It's a little lighter. Lori Fisher was desperately demanding me that I'd ask you about the middle name because I had not heard the middle name either. These things matter to her. 100%. So I'm glad we were able to clear that up. I mentioned earlier, maybe it was even on the TV show, that in a sense, I think game one was a coach's dream, because the Vikings hardly played well enough that they could get cocky after that game.
Yeah.
That you got a head coach who has to have their attention, because they got to know they'd have lost that game probably against a number of other teams that aren't as good at, finding ways to lose as the Bears tend to be. And on the other hand, you did get, of course, the comeback itself, the recovery by the QB, which gives you a little sense of, okay, we know he's going to struggle, because all quarterbacks struggle from time to time, but at least we got an early example of the degree to which he seems willing to hang in.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I know going into this, they were, if McCarthy had come out and thrown for 375 yards and everybody was just over the moon all week, I think they would have almost been a little more nervous about that in some ways, because then it gets a little harder to maintain any sense of normalcy. But this one, the way they did it, I mean, you can still talk about the comeback and the resolve that he showed making the comeback. I think the first in Steve Young to make that big of a comeback in the fourth quarter of his debut. But there was a lot that still needs to be better. I mean, looking back through it, there were moments, I think, where he took a sack and it was like, this was probably actually the right decision here to not try to force something and just live to fight another down. But there was certainly some miscommunication, the timing issues, the pick six. Justin Jefferson talked about it yesterday, but I don't think the two of them have completely lined up everything timing-wise, and that's to be expected given how little time they've had together on the field. But whether it's some of those things or a couple of protection moments, there's just going to be things for him to learn. I mean, he's a 22-year-old that hasn't played an NFL game before Monday night. So there's just going to be a lot of details that come over time. And I think the fact that they won, but they can still come back to say, we've still got a lot of work to do, was probably about what Kevin O'Connell would have liked to see happen.
I assume that the start of the Green Bay Packers has already captured the attention of some folks at TCO. I know the job is we worry about ourselves, and we'll get to the Packers when we get to them. But in terms of starts, again, just on the basis of two games, I don't think it could have started any better for Green Bay. Now, admittedly, both games are at home, but they played two what we believe to be legitimate teams, right? And they pretty much controlled, I think, both games, which to me starts more than anything with a defense that looks like it's going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, they've been really impressive. I think you beat those two teams. It's the top seed in the NFC last year, and then the team that knocked that team out of the playoffs. Both of those teams went farther in the playoffs last year than the Packers did, and they punched both of them in the mouth. I mean, that defense has been absolutely the story. They've done a good job containing both of those running games, which can be a challenge in both cases. They've gotten a lot of pressure. I mean, I think Micah Parsons has made his presence felt pretty immediately, especially playing next to Rashawn Gary, or playing opposite Rashawn Gary, I should say. But the other piece of it to me, and I've kind of been in and out of those games a little bit, but what I've seen, Jordan Love looks more precise, more decisive, less cavalier.
Good word.
Sense that we've seen him in the past. And I think if you pair that with that defense, they're going to be formidable. I mean, I did not think they would come out with those two games and those two opponents, even if they're both at home, and do what they've done. Yeah, it has, I think, put the league on notice, and I have to imagine the Vikings have paid attention to that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it certainly. And again, I mean, we know the ebb and flow, even for good teams, it can certainly change, and they got to hit the road, et cetera. But it looks to me like they're going to be one of those teams that, because of their defense, they're going to be in everything pretty much, and then may depend on whether Jordan stays, playing, as you say, less recklessly than he has in the past, because that's to me is how it has looked, and yet dependable. And they got a running back, man, that they can count on. That guy is good. He's been good for a long time, and seems to stay healthy as well. We expect. Do we know who's going to get the big introduction Sunday night? Is it going to be JJ? Is it going to be Thielen? Do we know how that's good? I assume all this stuff gets choreographed like days in advance. What do we know?
Yeah, it will be. I'm sure it's choreographed. I don't know which side of the ball will be coming out. I would expect it's either JJ. Well, actually, if it's the offense, my guess is the last person out of the tunnel will still be Justin Jefferson as the captain of the team.
Right.
JJ, I'm sure we'll get a big introduction, and then Adam Thielen coming out in his first game back home, we'll get a big introduction. If it's the defensive side of the ball and Harrison Smith is out there, I would imagine he gets it in year 14, 14th and possibly final home opener. So I would expect it's one of those names, but yeah, we'll see which side of the ball. We don't always find that out ahead of time, and they may make that decision late. But yeah, then Jared Allen will get his Hall of Fame.
No, that's right.
On Sunday night as well. So there'll be lots of festivities. But yeah, whether it's Thielen or JJ McCarthy, I would imagine both of those guys will get pretty big receptions from a home crowd that I think will be pretty charged up.
Last item for today. Have you been how much time have you had to talk with Jordan Mason? I don't know that I'm not sure I've ever even heard him interview, to be honest with you, about his role here, about whether he's happy to be here, whether he's encouraged on the basis of the way he was used when really it was time to win the game, to come back and win the game Monday night. How much time have you spent around him?
I have exchanged exactly 0 words with Jordan Mason to this point.
Right.
Aaron Jones was saying the other day, it's like, they said, he's really funny. He's got a great sense of humor. And it's like, okay, new stuff. We haven't seen him much in the locker room and haven't had much chance to talk to him. I think he's kind of somebody that keeps to himself, but you have to peel through a few of those layers to see the sense of humor that Aaron Jones is talking about.
It'll take a while.
Yeah, I mean, the way he has played, I think, has freed up a lot of things. I mean, they have used him in the sense, or at least used him Monday night in the sense that I thought they would, where he is getting more of those heavier personnel carries where you need people to muscle up in the middle of the field, and it's freed Aaron Jones up to do some other things. I mean, I wrote about this in the newsletter today, how they've turned Aaron Jones into a little more of a downfield threat. We saw a lot of that in training camp, and I don't know that happens in the same way that we've seen it, at least in a couple of big moments on Monday night, if Jordan Mason isn't playing the role that he is. So I think this is very much going to be a tandem and kind of a complementary skill set. But yeah, he's been, I think, a big factor so far, and I expect he'll continue to be that. Maybe at some point we'll get a chance to talk with him a little more and see how he's feeling about all of this.
How do people get a hold of the newsletter if they've not already registered?
Yeah, so the easiest way to do that would be on my socials. There's typically a link to sign up for it. But if you just Google Access Vikings, Star Tribune Access Vikings newsletter, that should take you to a sign-up page as well. But there's a link in the bio of my socials that's pretty easy to find it that way. So, yeah, it comes out every Friday at noon. It's totally free. And typically spend some time with analysis, answer some mailbag questions, and have some fun stuff towards the end of it.
Enjoy Sunday night. We'll chat next week. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good, Dan.
Ben Goessling, brought to you by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. He, of course, covers the Vikings and the NFL for the Star Tribune and joins us weekly, joins PEA Project weekly as well. Lavelle in about a half hour. Top 5 now, which will include
football, and we've got a playoff matchup set.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Rob Gronkowski from Dudes on Dudes. Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You can stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, or you can spice things up and try some unexpected pairings like dipping chicken wonton tacos in our honey Dijon mustard. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Football is back. That means it's tailgate time, and this season, the only meat I'm going to grill is Dietz and Watson. I'm loving the Black Angus Dietz dogs. They're flavor-packed, and you can tell they are made with the highest quality ingredients. Sundays just got a whole lot better. Visit DietzdandWatson.com/therightway to learn more about the Dietz difference.
Wasabi Technologies is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from those old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams around the world. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, Wasabi is driving innovation in data storage. All for up to 80% less than those other guys. Try them out for free at wasabi.com.